Hey there, my name is Romy, and this is No Jumper. So I was born here in the heart of LA, in Mid-City. Pretty much grew up in the same 1 mile vicinity my entire life, and for all 18 years I've been on this earth, I've been in Mid-City. My parents are honestly two of my favorite people. They both came from very different places in California, both very different backgrounds, and both of them absolutely love music. So thanks to them always playing music as a kid and my mom singing to me, they're honestly my first influences when it came to me wanting to make music. When I was growing up, I was raised mostly on 80s electronica, techno music, and classic rock, and I want to say world music is kind of a weak way to put it, but everything from reggae to Jackson 5 to Coco Rosie to Bjork to David Bowie, like honestly everything. See, I wanted to go to preschool early. The second I heard about preschool, I was really excited. I didn't really know what to expect, but for some reason I wanted to go to preschool before I was 2. I realized really quickly being in a classroom and being forced to sit still was just really not my shit. I've always loved learning, but school in general is very confined. Like, not that you have to feel like you're in a box, but you are literally in a box. Like, they make you sit down, they make you do shit you don't want to do. You're not supposed to talk when people are talking. And since I was a kid, I never really understood why like adults don't let kids speak when they want to, or why kids can't be part of certain conversations. So from preschool all the way through the only year I was ever in high school, I developed a love for learning, but a lack of love for the school system. And I was a pretty all over the place kid, I'm not gonna lie. There was good times in school, bad times in school, times I made some pretty big mistakes, and times I succeeded. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made, honestly, was trying to get into this like arts high school in LA that was supposedly like one of the biggest, best in the country. And I really wanted to go for music and vocals. I got kicked out of choir in 6th grade because I said I couldn't sing with a group. And that shit crushed me for a minute. But I was like, fuck that, I'm gonna audition for this art school. And I tried singing 2 different very bold songs. And I tried to get in for theater as well, because I knew my chances were slim. But I did not get in for vocals. And the biggest mistake I made was choosing to go to the art school for theater because I hate theater. And I learned that like any controlled art where you're forced to do shit you don't want to do makes you lose your passion for what you really love. And so I dropped out after 1 year. I said, fuck this shit. And I graduated on my own. When I was 5, I started writing my first songs ever on the school bus. Like every day, my mom would take me just a few blocks from my home, luckily, to the school bus stop. It was another school. And one of my best friends, Sully, and I were obsessed with Hannah Montana. And I got this Hannah Montana notebook from Target or some shit that I was supposed to be using for school. And that became like the first book I ever started writing songs in. And every morning on the way to school, me and her would like write songs, like with different parts, like I don't know, duets. We basically write duets, and that's when I started writing. It was because of Hannah Montana. I was like, why would I want to be a normal girl in school when I could take like my passion for music and make that something? The first time I ever recorded was with an old friend of mine in their bedroom studio. And I had never actually been given the opportunity to record with people before. I wanted to start a band really badly at that art school I was at, and like no one was about it. So I said, fuck it. After I dropped out, I met this kid who produced, and that was the first time I ever recorded in my life when I was like 15. And until I met my manager, like it was all bedroom studios before that. I was really blessed that he actually found me. I had done this cover of Bjork's Venus as a Boy. One of my friends remixed the original beat and added this other sample towards the end, and I was like, shit, this is fire. And I actually had recorded it on my iPhone headphones because I didn't have a computer, like anything at my own home to do shit with. So my manager, I guess, had found me through a photo he'd seen some kid took of me. And he noticed the SoundCloud link in bio was a cover of, honestly, I think one of Bjork's best songs. And because of that song, he DM'd me, and since then, shit's been fire. Yeah, that's how he found me. I am not signed to a record label, actually, but I have a publishing deal. And Since then, I have been kind of up and down, wanting to sign, not sign, realizing I could and should, and my feelings have always been mixed on wanting to sign with a label, I'm not gonna lie, because of not wanting my own creative freedom like taken from me, but I'm at the point where I'm trying to sign. Going back to being like 5, actually going back to preschool, I was one of those kids that like, no matter what my mom tried to get me to wear, I was usually not down at a certain point. Like by the time I was 5, I was going to school in like Halloween costumes or like tutus and cowgirl hats and shit, and I realized like how I dressed was honestly what brought me the most confidence. So my look overall expresses me and how I feel each day. Sometimes it's a lot more girly, sometimes it's a lot more tomboy, I guess. The best way to put it is I realized my first form of self-expression was through the way I dressed, how I wanted to present myself to the world, and because of my mom letting me wear whatever I want, I realized like it doesn't matter what anyone thinks, you gotta wear what you want. My look being a part of me is my look as, wow, what am I saying? My look in general is always changing and it's always very me, and it's what brings me comfortability in my own skin. There's this one DJ, I don't know where she's from, but her name's Lexi DeBelem, and she's one of the coolest females I've ever seen, like just doing whatever she wants. It's always like a mix of all different things, and I realized being female, I obviously like wearing dresses at times, but growing up in LA, like you can't just wear a dress if you're taking the bus at night, like that's just not safe. So me being in hoodies and sweatpants is honestly kind of like my uniform because I'm just comfortable. I realize I can be who I am wherever I go, feel comfortable in what I'm in, and since I was little, Supreme has always been a favorite. I remember saving up my babysitting money to go and try and cop t-shirts back when you could just walk in the store and cop t-shirts. Another favorite brand of mine was Versace before Donatella Versace sold it to Marc Jacobs, but it's okay. I hope it lives on in spirit. Another favorite brand is Goodwill. I always say that, but I was raised on thrifting. Like, my mom and dad, when I was younger, didn't really have money and never gave me money to just go buy clothes. Like, that's just not who they were, too. Like, it instilled a lot of morals in me to go thrift and like have to thrift when I wanted my own shit. So I've always loved thrifting, and Goodwill is one of my favorites. So I got Lil B. Lil B pretty much has been a friend of mine since I was 13, and one night he knew I was working on the project and I hadn't even sent him anything to be on, but one night, like the project was practically done. It was like a week before we were about to drop it. He sent me this little voice memo, and that's what I added to the beginning of the last track because it was super positive. It was honestly, like I woke up to it and I was like, okay, this has gotta be on a song. Brandon's been a huge supporter of me, luckily, for years. I'm not gonna lie, I watched the Six Dogs interview earlier today, and before he had popped off a lot, I was really trying to work with him, and it didn't work, but I did do a cover of one of his songs in the past, and he showed it love, and I just remember that making my day. It was a cover of Faygo Dreams. Billie Eilish recently followed me on Instagram and commented on the song I made with Cuban Doll. I met Cuban through my manager, actually. One of the first times I had ever gone to Capitol Records, Cuban was there having a meeting, and I had heard of her actually from one of her first videos I'd seen online, and I don't know, I was kind of starstruck because I remember one of my manager's friends basically pulled up my first rap video I ever put out, which was a song called Bonnie and Clyde, and she was like, yo, this is hard. Like, it wasn't like even in front of her face, but she was just like, this shit's fire. And from that day, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, I want to make a song with her. And my manager helped make that happen. I have not hung out with her a lot, but she's a really, really kind person. Through and through, she's never treated me with any disrespect, and she's super goal-oriented, which I can tell. And that's how I've always been. That's how you gotta be, being a girl from anywhere, being a guy, girl, artist, like all that shit aside. She's always been really cool. Long story short, I was like, 16 or 17? And I was at this party on Melrose Avenue, upstairs from this shop. Who knows, I'm not gonna expose anything. And I got invited kind of randomly by one of my old friends, and I wasn't doing anything, and he told me it was chill, so I was like, you know, I'm gonna go. And I had my glasses taken from me at the party, these Gucci shades that I had just been given. I was very excited about them. I'd never owned Gucci shades in my life. And long story short, I left the party after my glasses were stolen, and I was like, who the fuck was that? Because none of my friends who were there were trying to help me and expose like who the person was. The whole night, I like didn't want to sleep. I was like, I'm gonna find this person. Like, I've never been robbed that blatantly in my life. I felt super disrespected. And the next day, I was getting messages, mad messages from this person. I was like, you know, I'm pulling up for myself. They were basically telling me to like drop a pin, blah, 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 let's fight. I'd never fought in my life. I didn't really want to, but I really wanted my glasses back. I'd never shown up for myself really like that before. And so I pulled up with a few of my friends, and I thought I was meeting someone alone. But there were like 25 adults outside of Joy Rich LA, and I was like, where the fuck did I think I was meeting someone alone on Motos? I don't know, but the whole thing was documented. Frosty the Snowman actually saved my ass, and that's how I ended up in the Frosty the Snowman video. I was trying to show up for myself, get my glasses back, and I ended up running, but I'm pretty proud I still showed up. It was the first week you had to open the store, I remember. And yeah, you showing love to me though, honestly, was like super consoling. In the end, I like really didn't want to fight. That was the thing, is I've never believed in violence being the answer for any problem, but I also never been so thrown into a situation where people wanted me to fight for my own shit. And as scared as I was, I'm still really proud that I showed up for myself, because I'm just not a violent person. And I realized like, because of that experience, I've luckily grown even more into believing that like that's just not the way to handle anything. Like at the end of the day, you can try and show up for yourself, you can choose not to, you may or may not get your shit back, but if you show up for yourself, you're gonna feel a lot better than if you did some other stupid shit. And that's why I'm glad I didn't end up fighting at all. So because I was raised with so much different music around me, and my dad actually raised me on, there were other influences I should have mentioned, like Snoop Dogg and the Gorillaz, because when they did that Plastic Beach album, I was so inspired to want to like bring my singing shit and my love for rap into like what I do with my music, because I've always loved rap music. I used to be ashamed to want to try, mostly because I'm like a small girl in LA, and I'm white and Mexican, and honestly like I felt a lot of shame in myself even wanting to try something, because I was already made fun of a lot for just being me. But one day I just said fuck it, and I started like trying to freestyle with my friends who were always trying to get me to freestyle with them. And because I love making rap and I love singing, I've always just said, why not try to do both? Because I love, I don't know, yeah. Because I love shit from like classic rock to metal to rap to trap. Trap's one of my favorite genres, and so I figured like, if I don't try doing this shit, then who's to say I can't really? If I'm not gonna try doing it, like, I'm never gonna try, I'm never gonna succeed. Yeah. I like to stick with myself unless I'm willing to try bringing in other people to my life. Relationships in general, I would have to say, are something that I value a lot, and I feel like that's why I prefer to stick to myself for the most part, unless I feel like friendship or anything, honestly, is at least not necessarily mutually beneficial, but like where both parties are there for each other equally. Because I'm such a giving person, I feel like that's why I prefer to stay alone and focus on myself, especially since I'm only 18. Like, I'm not really trying to get a ring on my finger. I'm trying to focus on my goals and do what I want to do first before I ever do some shit like that. Currently working on my second project, and I'm really excited because music is my favorite thing to do, and recently I've been getting really blessed to be around a lot of more passionate people than I had been around for a while. I'm just excited to create as much as possible. I'm excited to get in new studios. I'm excited to make more videos with more people, because besides just making music, like, I've always been a kinesthetic learner, which means like a visual learner, for anyone who doesn't know, I guess. I love listening to music. I love collaborating with other artists. I love trying to push myself to collaborate with other people, and so I'm just really excited that I've been given a lot more opportunities recently to be able to do that. In general, for guys, girls, from wherever you're at, my message is to always do you. At the end of the day, if you're not hurting anyone you care about or yourself, I think you should stick to what you love and follow your dreams, because no matter where you're from, like LA or not, it can be hard to make yourself happy if you're so focused on what your family, your friends, your spouses think of you and what you're doing. So my message is to stay true to you always, and do your thing. Yeah, follow your dreams, whether they be big or small. Any additional information? My new project Monsters is out on all platforms, and I hope you like it.